Untitled Mindset. This is our second ever event here in the pole barn. And we got a few repeat faces from the first event. Welcome back, Dale, Wes, Andre. We'll give a shout out to Rob and Brad. They've got family life going on. They couldn't make it this time, so we brought on another few new faces. So for newer watchers and listeners, we're going to do a little round table. Scott Mulvaney, I'm the founder of Live the Fuel, your host, and all the almost 500 shows of history. You're probably tired of hearing of me. Brian, you've been on the show many times, so why don't you hit the round lap of intros? So,
Brian Strauser, Strauser Home Improvements. I've been on here a couple of times, speaking with Scott about a number of different things. Happy to be here.
So Dale Kessler, owner of Realty 365 in Allentown. I do residential foreclosures, investment properties for people around the valley and parts of New Jersey. And I'm an avid CrossFit enthusiast, triathlete, outdoors, hunting, fishing, you name it, I like to do it.
Ed Hanna, one of the owners of Union Finch restaurant in Allentown. We've been around for almost 8 years from this August, so it's good to be among folks like these guys, and thanks for having me.
I forgot my name.
that's Wes. So, yeah.
I'm here for the brisket.
Yeah, I'm here for the brisket.
He's just here for the meat, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah.
Wesley Morris. Depends on what day it is, what I'm doing. It really does. Oh my gosh. I guess, professional, inspirational speaker, soon to be author, trainer, and coach is my primary. But all things entrepreneurial. It really is a wide web. Just excited to be here, and thanks for having me.
Well, hi everyone, Andre Young, professional speaker, author, leadership trainer, and founder of You Evolving Now. Everything I do is a marriage between leadership and work-life harmony.
Thanks.
My name is Stephen Locklear, and I'm just a great salesman.
Take just out of that. Take just out of that.
He's a fellow man of mindset.
He's
ladies
just
and
here for
gentlemen.
Mulvaney's meat like the rest of us.
You had to just make it wrong right from the beginning of the episode. Yes, Mulvaney's meat smoke. Yo, we got to Stan Chan. Stan Chan. Shout out to Stan Chan. He smoked my meat perfectly.
I hope this is a real guy.
Dude, he is real. He is real. But yes, Stan Chan mastered the brisket that we ate this evening. I think we all enjoyed that. Was it?
Quite young, 2 thumbs up.
Yes. So I will hire him as my coach to teach me once I finally buy a smoker, since Brian basically thought I already did, but it is on the shopping list. So, but anyway, for the newer listeners, this is not a normal podcast. I started this just on a whim because so many men that I know, there's not a lot of events, there's not a lot of things that help men just break off and just want to do their own thing. And I think psychologically and historically, women are just way better at it. I mean, they have no problem. My wife gets together with girls all the time. The only way I can get guys together is usually go on a mountain bike ride like Steven and I do, or skiing, or on adventures. But then there's people out there that don't do all that. Or you just want to be able to get together with a bunch of dudes and enjoy a nice piece of steak or smoked brisket. And then they get peer pressured into rocking microphones with me at the end of the evening. So suck it up, buttercup is how I go with all that. So anyway, for the newer listeners and watchers, we're just kind of summing up the evening. That's why we hit record. I just love to capture stuff at the end of the evening. Wes, you didn't make a valid point. We could have been rocking the mics this whole time. There was a lot of deep thought. There was a lot of great stories shared, everything from parenting to entrepreneurship and the otherwise. So why don't you kick things off while I turn that one heater down because it's loud. What do you think, man? What are you taking away from tonight?
As an entrepreneur, it's literally, as a family man, husband, entrepreneur, all the things, all the hats that I wear, it could be it could be a very lonely place, right? It's one of the most difficult things that I've ever done, and I've had some difficult times, but the roles and life that I live now is one of the most difficult. So to be surrounded by other like-minded men that share the same sentiments of life and business family, you know, it just helps me to remind myself that I'm not alone, and there's other men that understand, you know, how difficult life can be wearing all those hats. Right? So that's really what I took away, and the different perspectives, and you know, my man's here is just hilarious. So that's fun.
For the listeners out there, he's pointing at Brian Strauser. It's really all his fault. It's actually nice that the spotlight's not on me. Yeah, it is. He is a funny guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
I'm known to having some issues. Just the way it is.
I think we all have issues in our own different ways.
But then Scott's house is like, it's like Never Land to me. You get to come here and watch the dogs play. And
It's only because my wife is awesome and she lets me play.
Right.
So that's really it.
We all just want to come over and play with your toys.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, this is
Not to mention eat your meat, Scott.
Exactly.
We're all
Yeah,
happy to
it's
eat
all
your
about
meat.
eating my meat. Yes, thank you. Shout out to Graver Farmstead. They raise the best beef in the Greater Lehigh Valley area, and pork, mind you. So, but that being said, no, I have to say, my wife, when she found this place during the pandemic, and I found out we would have to overpay for it, like anybody trying to buy a home in the pandemic, which is Dale's background, real estate. I was like, what? No, I'm good where we're at. I don't care if we have a small house. And she's like, no, I'm tired of the roommate life because we had a renter upstairs. And then she's like, here, let's go look at this place. And I saw the barn, and she's like, look, you can go live out there. And I said, oh, I'm okay with that. So I was like, that's my man zone. I was like, I can do whatever I want to. And she's like, absolutely. I was like, game on. And obviously we bought the house. So, and now I get to share with other great men of mindset and
You know,
playground.
Listen, the only thing I don't like about this place is I'm not the one that sold it to you. It's the only shitty thing about it.
All right, I deserve that. I deserve
listen,
that.
You had a
deserve
good
that.
realtor, so I gotta give him props, but he wasn't me. So.
You obviously didn't have the right meat.
Yeah. Well, to be fair,
That's not
to be
the
fair,
first time I've heard that.
to be fair, my wife was totally in charge of all that. I was like, we had a lot of couples conversations this evening off the mic and about our different relationships. And it's like, do you have to learn? And I'm the slowest learner out there. I have no problem telling people that. We just had our 5-year marriage anniversary on St. Patrick's Day. So late bloomer. I'll be 50 in 3 years. You know, I'll be 47 this year. And it's like, well, I just tell people, dude, sooner or later you got to figure it out. And you need somebody to call you on your shit. And that's why I love her. And sometimes you get cool things like this. So, yeah. But yes, I'm sorry, Dale. But she was like, I have a realtor. I'm like, okay, I'm bowing out. I'm like, I got a guy. And she's like, well, I don't know your guy. And I'm like, okay. All right. So.
She does now.
Yeah.
So.
And now she probably's kicking herself because you got dogs and you're a fun guy. It's like, see, Dale was a cool guy. So, yeah.
We've gone paddleboarding together.
I know, right? Come on. Yeah. He's
You know, I
athletic.
think one of the things that's interesting right now is you have various different industries. So one of the things that I'd like to hear is I'd like to hear from each of you your perspective on your industry right now and where you suspect your industry to go in the next 5 years. Let's start with you.
I mean, all right, yeah. So, obviously, COVID,
What industry?
restaurant industry, that would help, right?
You should
Well,
probably plug your
Welcome to
restaurant
the
on
microphone life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you guys can spin that back and forth. That way it gives you better audio.
So
Good?
who you
Yeah.
are.
One of the owners of Union and Finch in Allentown. And we've been going at it for almost 8 years this August. So it wasn't something that I did prior to opening this restaurant in August of 2016 with a few other folks, including my wife, obviously, my brother, and his wife, and my sister and her husband. But was in the music industry for a while, doing technology, marketing, and whatnot. So we did this, and some people asked me, was it a dream? I said, it's probably more of a nightmare than a dream. But no, we're here 8 years later. But as far as the industry is concerned, I think it's certainly changed quite a bit in the last 4 years, naturally. But for some of us, for the better. I think one of the things that came out of the unfortunate situation with the pandemic was we have an outdoor space that we didn't have before. And while a lot more folks are obviously comfortable where things are now, but that certainly increased our seating and whatnot. But I think what we've learned in the last 4 years in particular, I'm going to stress that, is really that folks want to support small and local. I think there's a lot more of that, and Scott's been great with not only us, other folks, but you know, that's how we met.
I own all the initial first round of T-shirts.
There you go. But yeah, I just think, you know, people want to support local and small businesses, whether it's a restaurant, whether it might be. I just think that has changed in the last 4 years, and I think the landscape in terms of competition for a small independent restaurant like us in a neighborhood in Allentown was a little bit more difficult before. Really, it was. But I think that if you do something fairly consistently and good, no one's perfect, obviously.
Right.
You provide good hospitality, good food, good experience, you're gonna do all right. I truly believe that, especially now, and I think people and customers and whatnot want to help small businesses. And I think that, while it was certainly prevalent before, it's more prevalent now. And I think that to me is something that we tried to capture, and being community oriented. I think that was huge for us, is making sure that we're, you know, not only focused on building a successful business, but also helping build a community. And that was huge for us.
Yeah, if I could tie in, obviously, I'm obviously a super fan of Union and Finch, and yes, when I thought one of the coolest things, because I'm a geek about sales and marketing and branding, was when they saw the potential struggle of our I don't know if you guys call them frontline workers, but the servers, right? I have been a server. I've had many hats in my life, jobs over the years. I always had like 3 jobs in my life. But dude, like, okay, well, no one's coming to the restaurant, so now we got to do pickup, or they're gonna go delivery. And the servers who cared and tried to stay committed with you guys, they went from being a server in the restaurant to driving their own car, or trying to deliver food, or doing pickup. So I'm not a big takeout guy, but during that time, I'm like, okay, what businesses can I support? My wife and I, it's not like we're not multimillionaires, but like, hey, we can afford to try and support these small businesses from time to time. What's our favorite spots? Okay, cool. Let's order from Union Finch this time. Let's order from here. Let's order from there. You're going to create T-shirts, which I love, because a percentage of the sales went back to the servers towards their tips. Servers depend on that. I loved that whole campaign. And then look what it manifested to now. Now you guys have launched this whole like local historical Allentown brands, like old sports teams and old breweries and all the things that was from years ago. And now you keep recreating, you're finding the old logos and bringing those T-shirts back. Again, this is a restaurant, not a marketing agency. Like, they're just figuring stuff out and doing things to stay niche and unique. And I remember all the struggles of the outdoor space, right? Allentown zoning, and everybody loves local government and their zoning departments. But it's like, dear God, you guys went through hell with that.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out the heating, trying to figure out the comfort. Are they going to make us tear it down? You went from one style of floor to then something more permanent, then moving the parking spots for your tenants who live upstairs. You guys went through so many things. So I wanted to make sure that little things like that didn't get missed, because we talked about this before we turn the microphones on, which is you got to have the discipline to keep going. You can't just get paralysis by analysis and just shut down. You got to take a risk. Maybe it's going to work, maybe it's not. And you guys were a great example of that.
I appreciate that, and I think you raised a good point. I remember when it all went down. You know, what's your initial reaction? You close? What do you do? I don't think that was an option, really. What we did is, like, you know, other folks, is just react. And in reacting, we decided to stay open and to go business and build a business around that, knowing that, you know, a lot of folks were probably gonna, you know, be in a predicament, whether it be, you know, in terms of the type of work they were doing, continuing the work that they were doing, so making it affordable for people as well. I think that was huge too, because like a lot of folks, you know, you can't show homes, right? You can't get out on the street and do, you know, you have to adjust your public speaking to be virtual and all that stuff. So realizing that, and realizing that, you know, we had to adjust as well, and make sure that we were able to provide not only a service but also a product that was accessible to a wider demographic was huge for us. So.
Yeah.
One of the things that stands out for me is, for anybody in business, it's the business inside the business that makes you successful. So you're a restaurant owner, but you just mentioned things about politics and government and marketing. I'm a professional speaker. My job is obviously to do a good job on stage or trainings, but the real job is I spend all my time doing sales negotiation. And secondarily is my job is to love coming home from travel and to have home want me back. Those two things are the real job. You're supposed to do a great job. You're a restaurant owner making food. I'm supposed to do a good job on stage. It's the business inside the business that nobody talks about that you must be good at to stay successful.
Yeah, well said.
That's a good point.
We'll just keep going in the same order. Dale,
Uh,
real estate went through hell.
And
So I have obviously with the current changes in real estate, not from pandemic, but actually the current changes in real estate with this new NAR ruling that, historically, the way it was set up, the seller and the listing agent dictated the commission. So part of the commission went to the buyer side. If there was a buyer agent, part of that commission would be paid out through the listing agent's office, not directly from the seller. The listing agent's office would pay it. But the way the government wanted to spin it is, let's do a class action lawsuit against realtors because they're fixing the commission. Totally not the case. We're not getting into all that. That's now changed. No longer are you allowed to list in the MLS what you're paying a buying agent. Someone representing a buyer, I can no longer put that in the system. The buyer agent no longer knows what they're getting paid. They actually have to call and find out what they're gonna be paid every time they show a house. So now, they're gonna figure that out, how it's gonna get automated, how you're gonna be able to find it. Now, from my understanding, and I'm not an attorney, and I didn't sit in a room with the attorneys, so some of this information may not be exactly how it shakes out, but I can put it on my website. So if I'm a listing agent, I can put what I'm paying on my website, I just can't put it in the MLS. Kinda weird, but supposedly that's what's
Very
allowed.
weird. Wow.
So, in my opinion, what's gonna end up happening now, you should have a buyer agency agreement. You should enter into an agreement with your buyers. Here's how much you're paying. But now you, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, you have to pay me the seller's amount. So do you have, when we buy a $300,000 house,
Mhm.
$9,000 to pay me? Because my commission's 3%. It used to be built into the deal, now it's not. I don't have that, Dale. Okay, well, now I have to figure out how I'm gonna be paid. So as a buyer's agent, you're gonna have a much harder time getting people to use you.
Wow.
So you
I didn't
have-
know any of this. This is
So
great.
you now have to prove your value. Show me how valuable you are, and you've sold 3 houses
Yeah.
versus this guy that sold 1,900 houses.
Hmm.
Why should I work with you and not that person? You've got to be able to have the ability to sell people and working with you. Now, there's going to be a lot of things in between. This is supposed to take place mid-July. There's a high probability the seller will still offer a commission. Then if they're only offering 1%, well, you have to have an agreement in place that your buyers will cover the rest. VA, USDA, FHA, they all offer sometimes a 6% seller commission or seller assist. That may have to go to 8 or 9 because now you got to build the commission. Because the buyer agent or the buyer is not allowed to finance your commission. It's not a financeable piece. They have to change those rules or it's going to cause a little bit of a problem.
See, a lot of people aren't just sitting around with extra cash laying around to pay these things like that. I mean,
So now,
Wow.
there's going to be a mass exodus of realtors from the business. One, there's hardly any inventory now, so there's already an exodus of realtors. 2, NAR is settling a lawsuit of $400 and some million, or whatever it is, it's going to be paid over the course of several years. We pay a certain amount in dues. In my opinion, that's going to go up. Personally, I look at this thing, I love it. I absolutely love it. One, because I'm predominantly a listing agent. I don't work a lot of buyers. So I make my money from the seller, that's cool. 2, it is going to weed out the people who are just part-time realtors, who give us our professional organization an unprofessional name.
mm,
Most people think realtors suck. Because the vast majority of realtors, 90% of realtors do 0 or 1 deal a year. Like, if you're not doing that kind of business, you don't have the skill set to really educate people on how to purchase a home. So it's gonna weed out a lot of those people. Now with this change, it's even further gonna cause that to happen.
so it sounds like what every industry goes through. You're going through a massive what they brand disruption. It's a disruption,
Correct?
right? Yeah.
Just like so in my opinion, it may not be the same. It's probably not gonna end up the same. When you had Travelocity online, all the travel agencies went out of business. There used to be travel agents everywhere. Now that doesn't exist. Anybody who could write their name was a travel agent. Doesn't exist anymore. We does everything online. However, I know some travel agents who are killing it right now.
I have friends here locally in the valley.
Yeah, because they have created such a niche following and a market, they're doing 10 times better than they've ever done.
Mhm.
So as the industry evolves, there's gonna be those realtors who survive, who actually bring professional back to professional industry. And then people can start to see the value. And look, I am also an advocate of, are you worth 3%? Are you worth it?
I never mind showing my worth or working for my worth. Never minded that. So if that's the issue, then let's go.
Let's
And
go.
when you weren't worth it, you were willing to work hard for less. So you needed to prove your worth. So instead of doing this deal as the buyer's representative for 3%, which I just got into business, I'll do it for you for 1% because I got to learn the ropes. How about I don't charge you anything?
Mhm.
Just refer me to your friends. The people with that mindset,
Yeah.
they're going to win because they're willing to work for free to get an education. The people who have the results behind them are going to win because they're going to get the business. And all the people that got out of the business, the onesies, twosies that were taking money out of the people who really know what they're doing in pockets, those people won't exist, so those people will start coming to that.
Hmm.
So I see this disruption as a very good thing, as most disruptions are. You just got to look at it the right way.
There's an age-old quote that those who fail to embrace change are doomed to fail. Change is going to happen. You got to ride the roller coaster. You got to ride the rapids. Whatever your lifestyle is, those are the strong will survive. There's all kinds of quotes that tie into this. I'm excited for this. I can't wait to get an update on this from
When
you
I got
because that's
into
crazy.
business, I didn't know how I would survive, and I just put my head down and went,
Mhm.
and I figured it out. I see somebody doing 300 transactions, 400 transactions a year. I'm like, I can't even do 10. How is this person selling all these houses? But then you break it down, you look at it, you break it down, you figure it out, put one foot in front of the other. It's just, there is no substitute for the work, period. No matter what industry you're in, no matter what you're doing, the work always works.
I think a great segue from that goes into Brian perfectly is quantity isn't always everything. What's the quality coming out of it? What's going into it? What's coming out of it? That's what I love, and that's what this guy represents.
Before I even say who I am and what I do and where I'm from, one, I want to thank Scott for putting stuff like this together because this is awesome. When it comes to a Friday night, a lot of people want to go out and do all sorts of different things. I would give every Friday night to hang out with a group of dudes like you guys. It's been a pleasure prior to even turning this thing on, getting to know each and every one of you. I've known a number of people online that I've been following and kind of seeing what's going on. But to me, at this point, I'm 49 years old, and my days of shenanigans are over, and I am very focused on what I'm trying to do for myself, my family, and the people around me. My business, Strauser Home Improvements, I met Scott a number of years ago. He's actually been a crucial part in really helping me put together a lot of stuff, from my branding to my, the looks of my gear to my business card and different things, but just helping me kind of hone my mindset, which it's all mindset. One of the things that when you hear a lot of this stuff and when I'm thinking about you guys in this room and the people I care to spend my time around is we're not willing to fail. We're like the type of people that it doesn't matter what is thrown at me. I don't care what the job is that I come in front of. I don't care what the situation is. I'll figure it out. It's just my job. That's what I do, and I pride myself on it. And I think that's something that we're losing in some of these younger kids these days. That I'm a huge kid advocate, love the youth and putting my time and investment into them. I run a home improvements business, basically. It started off as I worked in the trades for a number of years, working anywhere from concrete repair to commercial framing to a high-end remodel company out of Emmaus. Just a lot of different things over the time. And where I started my business was I started doing odds and ends on the side just to pay for toys. So I wanted to have my kayaks. I'm a huge outdoor advocate. I used to race mountain bikes and stuff, so I got tons of bikes and kayaks and everything my kids would want to do outside to have a good time. And we just figured out over time, and the business that I was in kind of towards the end that was failing, that wasn't doing very well, And both me and my wife's insanely corporate, where I'm very non-corporate. And she just really kind of realized for the first time and gave me kind of that nod to say, you really got something going here, and we really might need to think about this. And I told her that the place I was working for was gonna fail. It was mathematics. They did. They're no longer in business. And the two guys that I worked with there that I was very close with, I fuel both of their businesses. And I'm doing things now that I sit around and chuckle about. Like, it's funny to me. I should take things a little bit more seriously than I do sometimes. But again, I think part of my haphazard way of dealing with life is a big part of what helps me excel in things, because I don't take things quite as seriously as I should sometimes. And I just go full tilt forward in what I'm trying to do. So my simple remodel business started off doing odds and ends. Now I've been doing it on my own for about maybe close to 4 or 5 years solely on my own.
I think you're going on 5 over your.
Yeah, something like 5. And again,
Time flies.
you would think I should know. I don't know. I just go out and kick ass in the field. My wife, I have a woman that does my bookkeeping and stuff, that deals with all the numbers end of it, because it's gotten so busy in what I'm doing that I can't deal with that stuff. I wanted to have control over everything, because my business is my baby, my family, my kids, my elderly parents. They're basically everything. And my business fuels my ability to have the freedom to take. Next Tuesday, I gotta take my mom to a dentist appointment, because she's at a point that she can't get there on her own. And it just, makes me very proud to be able to do that. And even better yet, anything my kid needs. I haven't missed a thing that my kid has done in school or anything ever. And that's what fuels what I do. And it's just been growing and growing organically for the past couple of years. And every year when I think I kind of reach the top, that I can't do anymore, I come up with another idea, because again, I don't settle with anything, and I'm always working towards helping other people. So I got 2 other guys that have businesses that aren't talkers like me. They don't come out to cool things like this, and I fuel their incomes and involve them in what I got going on, and it's just really, really helped. It's been insanely beneficial, and everything's been going great lately.
I'm going to Andre. I'm going to go last, 'cause I live here. Andre, man, what's your update? You've been hustling. You've been traveling, as always. So, how is the professional speaker industry?
I love what I get to do. I wake up every day, and as you mentioned, I can't believe that I get to do what I do for a living, and support my family, with it. One of the things that I've found of success over the past few years, and we're speaking financially, is that I found that money, it funds most dreams and fixes most problems. So I want to have it. I want to have a lot of it. So that's been really, really cool. Not because of me. I can get a shirt from Amazon. I'm fine. I'm easy. But being able to do what you love, and then be able to support your family and their dreams and help some of their issues with it, is like nothing else. The question was asked, like, where do you see companies and corporations, organizations, leaders, employees being in 5 years? It's interesting, because you're going to have a certain older generation leaving. You have a new generation coming in that wants really to be impacted. They want to be inspired. They want to be protected. They want flexibility. And they're more sensitive to certain language or things that happen in the workplace than any other generation of all time. So I believe leaders are going to have to be able to better communicate, better connect, and create a different culture. And you also have to be able to help the front line to realize that expectations still have to be met. Results, your feelings matter. Results matter also. So how do you bridge that gap between taking care of your people while maintaining high standards and expectations? So how do leaders get to have that tough conversation? How is that tough conversation accepted and understood? And that's the marriage of the two. So I'm really big on, as I mentioned, leadership and work-life harmony, and that's something that we're going to see quite a bit. And I talk about the bully words a lot. And one of the bully words is happy. And for the younger generation coming in, who the heck gets to be happy all the time? Professionally or personally? Happy means that externally, things went your way for a long enough period of time to make you happy. But professionally, your business got to change. You might have to say some things to your employee about change that you know they're not going to like. Who gets to be happy all the time? Can we create together a joyful environment that gets results done, but realizing you can't be happy all the time? As a boss, you have to be able to say some things that push people to the next level, that is realistic about their performance, that holds people accountable for being late. So who gets to be happy? The boss doesn't always want to have that conversation. They'd rather not. As the employee, you need to be able to hear some things so you can grow. So I think for the younger generation coming in, we have to understand we're seeking a joyful work experience that's result-oriented, but you don't always get to be happy about what you want to do. You mentioned being married. I've been married twice. I've been married, hit my 10-year anniversary for my second marriage. You don't get to be happy all the time.
Hell no.
And there's value in other feelings. There's value in being frustrated. There's value in being angry. There's value in being disappointed. What's the lesson that we can extract when we feel that way that allows us to be great employees, co-workers, leaders, and a great organization? So find the value in the other feelings without being, a negative leader or a negative employee.
Well said. Stephen, you've never been on a microphone, have you?
No, I haven't. This
Awesome!
is,
I love
yeah,
it.
my first time.
Great.
Do you have a favorite song you could sing for us?
I don't have any.
Brian prefers boy band stuff, so not that there's anything wrong
I'm
with
a
that.
big NSYNC fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my experience has been about 10 years within the construction industry, ranging from maintenance repair operations with multifamily property management companies, going into the lumber sales, and then also precast concrete on the industrial side for electrical. Construction industry is always up and down, up and down. There's critical and non-critical infrastructure, and it's always going to change. There's always infrastructure available, but then there's also segments where it's needed. Recently, with precast concrete, and there's a federal government initiative to bring wind power, and energy consumption is just going to blow through the roof in the United States with AI emerging. That was a discussion that we talked about earlier today. But there's going to be a lot of energy consumption with CBDC, digital currencies, AI, and just continuous growth with technology. And the struggle that America has is that our infrastructure is old. For the wind power to be brought in through our transmission lines, the whole transmission grid needs to be updated and upgraded. So, it's a delicate subject to kind of balance with the country when, you want to see a future a certain way, but you have to fix the present. And some of that stuff's just not being considered with construction and design. So.
Before you go, Scott, too, one thing that I didn't, because every time I got the Mulvaney mics in my face, I totally lose my mind, don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But,
Yes and no.
one thing that I missed that we were asked to talk about was, and kind of has to do with what you were just saying, is with this construction world, too, and the youth. My passion is the youth. My little girl's my youth. My stepsons are my passion. And there's not a lot of the young people that are coming up through the ranks that want to deal with this kind of stuff. Everybody wants to deal with the button pushing jobs. They want to sit in an office, rather not even an office. They want to sit in their bedroom in their PJs and their snazzy socks and do these jobs and make millions. Or even worse, they want to be an influencer, sitting there talking about stuff they really don't know what they're even talking about. So the scary thing for me, and why I'm so passionate with the young people, is we're not going to have people to deal with the amount of issues that are going on, from just simple structural things, from your basic house repairs and house building, to the commercial stuff, to There's places like the Hoover Dam and all these different things. I watched a whole video on infrastructure from back in the day. It was all built around the same time. This stuff is all deteriorating around the same rate, and it's all coming to a head at a certain time when we don't have the people to deal with it. So my job is to talk to these young people and motivate them and work with my helpers and different kids that I come across that actually are into the trades and say, there is a boatload of money to be made out there doing this stuff. I drive around in a really nice truck. I listen to really good music. I pull a really nice trailer. I do whatever I want to do. Like I have fun every day doing my job, and I'm making a good dollar. But there's kids anymore that aren't into this stuff. Pretty soon, talking about the future of our industries, every consumer, like every homeowner is going to be paying through the roof to get a guy to change a light fixture because there's going to be nobody out there that's available to do it because there's only going to be 5 people in town that you would even want to have around your property. I'm forever fixing people's mistakes and stuff because ever since COVID, things weren't going on, businesses were failing, shutting down or whatever. Like, hey, honey, you fix the back deck. Go be a deck guy. Yeah, I can do that. Then they go out and do this stuff. Then I get a phone call. We have a problem. What's the problem? I paid a guy 10 grand to do a deck. 10 grand to do a deck. Materials usually 10 grand to do a deck. I go and look at it, and things falling off the back of their house. And because they don't know what they're doing. So the future of construction is horrific with what's coming.
And I was saying a lot of, I mean, whether it's police or military, airports, there's not enough people to do it. So therefore, a lot of organizations are accepting people that they wouldn't have, and then they don't have the necessary training and leaders to set certain expectations, personally, socially, knowledge base, and that's a really scary thing that's happening that I would love to see. And I don't know where you start with that. I don't pretend to know that piece, but I do know that expectations and leadership are the most important thing once we start getting the people that are in there, and how do we attract our younger people to want to work the way we say our generation would do it. Because it's a new generation, it's a new time. But how do we start attracting some new talent?
Yeah, and that's kind of the same thing that we had a conversation before this whole thing started, and that's what I was saying about the young people. Like, one, we should be fighting for stuff like for the construction world to get things like shop class back in school, where people understand how to use and work with their hands. These kids, there's a lot of kids that don't have a place, don't understand where they belong on this planet because they don't want to. I never wanted to read the books and learn stuff, and ironically, until I was out of school. Now I'm a rapid consumer of information and knowledge and stuff like that. But there's a lot of kids that are fighting through these schools that think like they don't know what they're doing and you're dumb and you this, that, whatever, because they have a whole another set of skills that could take them to the top of many ladders, but we're not developing that. So we're pushing a lot of the wrong stuff anymore, and we're not developing our youth to kind of put them and place them where they belong along the spectrum when they're not the cut and dry of the doctor, the accountant, whatever that doesn't involve like the hand skills and things.
I mean, you need a re-engagement of the family.
Yeah.
There's a re-engagement of, one, we don't lower standards. Too much of that shit going on. We're not lowering our standards. Just because you don't like it, you don't care. Some of that toughness, that tough love, has to be brought in, and you're correct where feelings matter, but it's going to take people who understand how to, for lack of a better word, manipulate their feelings so they can see how to get results and realize, hey, my feelings are hurt, this is hard, but if we can get you through the hard and you can see what success looks like, you're going to learn to love that hard thing that you used to hate because you just wanted to be happy. We've got to teach them and push them through, and it's a push. Like, those are the things that the parents have to get re-engaged for one, and not allow certain things to be changed.
Well, parents also too. Like, I hear a lot of people say they don't want to coach, they don't want to teach, not because they don't like the job teaching, coaching, or working with the kid or the student or the athlete, but they don't want to deal with the parent. So when the child's feelings are hurt, is taking the child's feeling more in consideration than working through an issue. Or
and
understanding,
politics.
hey, what is that coach or teacher might be right about? I worked in education for a long time. Every teacher isn't a great teacher. Every teacher isn't right just because they said what they said. But how do we identify the feeling, we respect the feeling, but now what? Now what? And a lot of times the feeling is is the total picture instead of the result.
Yeah, it's part of why I want definitely Wes to go next. Obviously, that's why I'm going last, because I think of him directly in his powerful story. He's made a shitload of mistakes. We all have. He's made some more powerful mistakes than I ever could have even dreamed of. But look where he's at now. So it takes amazing influencers, you know, even though people throw that word around a lot, but he's a professional speaker. But since I'm a non-parent, I look at it as this: teach the next generation differently, obviously, than when we were kids, but kids need to know how to make mistakes. I listen to a lot of psychology podcasts in my travels on business, and the biggest thing I love to take away, just recently last week, and that's why I thought of Wes for tonight, was parents, as a non-parent, I'm saying this, there's a lot of parents in this room right now. Parents are afraid, or just not realizing they got to teach their kids some of that tough love, but also, hey, this is how you learn. I can't just helicopter parent, lawn mow it, bulldoze everything out of your way, because you're going to need to learn how to make mistakes. There's an amazing speaker on that episode where the woman's a professor teaching a medical degree, and there's medical degree students. They want to be fast-tracked to get their doctorate, but they're afraid to submit their final, medical exam, whatever they got to do to be a doctor, whatever that process is. Like, she's got people afraid to complete the curriculum because they're afraid to fail. And it's like, you're a future MD candidate? Maybe you need to make those mistakes now while you're in school, but why are you afraid to fail? And they brought this full circle back to, they're talking about parenting, they're talking about the teachers. So that next generation, if they got people like you, Andre, like you, Wes, people getting out there, and then they see oh, dude, yeah, other people have made mistakes. You can turn it around. You can learn from that,
And
right?
the question has to become, regardless of your feeling, I cannot like how my wife comes to me about something. I cannot like when I was an employee that my boss came and had a tough conversation with me. I cannot like that my kid has an issue. If you can ask yourself this question, what are they right about?
Mm-hmm.
The chances that they are a
Well said.
monster. I worked 19 years in mental health. I've only met 2 monsters, because they do exist. But you know how rare that is? Most people are good people, and they'd rather not have this conversation with you. So instead of being in your feelings, have your feeling, there's value in it, understand what you're getting from it, lick your wounds, whatever. And as quickly, leaders ask themselves, and they bounce back from their feelings quicker than everybody else. And they ask, what are they right about? My wife would rather not have called me an asshole. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is she right about? Regardless of how I feel, regardless of how I wish she said it, whether it's her, my
I'm
boss, my
definitely
kid,
an
or
asshole
whatever,
sometimes.
what is she right about? And once I can identify what she's right about, then I can say, okay, now I can accept responsibility for something. Now what do I want to do? Regardless of how she acts, regardless of what my boss, regardless of what the employee, regardless of what they do, I now have a plan to be better. You be better, the world gets better around you, because now things will start happening in a domino effect. But what are they right about? Ask that, and you'll get out of your feelings faster than anything else.
Well, and with what you just said, add one piece to the front of it, because some of us need it, because we're so in our shit that I can't even ask that question. It's, if I didn't have this feeling, what is she right about? So let me lose the feeling first, so I can actually think straight. She's not worried about anything. No, she is. Let's get you out of this, and then ask the question. I needed that first piece. This why when he came out with influencers, he can be, and he can be, because he's got a lot of experience.
Mm-hmm.
There's some young kids that, listen, if you started with a football at the age of 2 and you're 27, you could be an influencer in the football game, because you got a lot of years under your belt and you got a lot to offer. So we all just have different experience when it comes to that kind of stuff. But asking those questions a little bit more, that's where I always look, because I'm like, it didn't work for me. But then someone else says something that triggers, and I was like, if I add that in, that works for me. So we're all talking about this stuff here, but we all have to find what works for us. The only way for us to find it is to try, do what he did. If it didn't work, try again and again and again. Does someone else have something to add to it? Oh, this person added something. I think maybe if I tried that. We didn't give up.
Mhm.
With Brad not being here and the way his philosophy is,
Mhm.
you can't give up.
Discipline, shout out to Brad.
And just to clarify too, my influencer thing, just to put us on the right wavelength, I'm talking like Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. If we all know that coming up, Mike Tyson is one of the best. I've followed UFC since UFC 1. I ran to Blockbuster every damn day waiting for each and every one of the first fights that came out. I know them all. The fact that this douchebag is fighting Mike Tyson at 60-some years old is horrible, like horrific.
Yeah, but Tyson's a beast even at 60.
I hope he takes his head clean off and we're just done with the Jake Pauls of the world.
Just watch his training videos. It's like,
Oh, I have been.
Tyson's
Trust me.
still crazy. He's old man crazy.
But you know what? When we sit here and say, and listen, and I agree, it's funny, it's all those things. But just back to what you said, if you could lose that feeling about Jake Paul, what are the things he's really doing good? Because he's doing something right.
True,
And if you
true.
could extrapolate what he's doing good, you might actually learn to like the kid.
Reinforce the good,
Yeah.
right? And then help them discover the
Because
opportunities.
listen,
to
Mike
improve.
Tyson was a real piece of shit for a long time.
Oh, God.
He did some screwed up shit.
Oh, yeah.
But for me to listen to Mike now, I'm like,
Mike
damn, he is
Tyson is
very-
one of the most brilliant
very much.
people on this planet.
Yep.
And whatever feeling you may have about him, when you listen to his words of wisdom, his advice, the man is right on.
He's
100%.
deep. He's got a deep side. He's got a deep side. Yeah. And he
too
does
deep
admit
for
he
some
does
people
admit
to
his
understand.
failures. He admits his failures and he admits his opportunities that he needed to improve on.
And it took him a long time.
Yeah.
And he had the first face tattoo before face tattoos were cool. Let's be real.
That's true.
Let's be real.
Wes, what do you got, brother?
Hey, Wesley Morris, shameless plug, books coming out, keep peddling, right?
Join the author club.
Yeah,
I love it.
You can pre-order
This book's
at
gonna be so much better than mine.
WesleyMorris.com. Should be out. The 12 principles and tools I've learned on a bicycle to get me through life. Thank you all for sharing. And
He left early last time.
you know, one of the things that comes to my awareness is I've heard, you know, as everyone has went around, or at least for the last 5 minutes, I've heard a lot about where your industry is going, or what the younger generation is not doing right. And what we focus on expands, right? So look at what they are doing. And I don't wanna say the word right because let me clarify. What I do is I coach people. I'm a speaker too. I love being able to pour into people and inspire them through my experience and being able to take a principle or a concept and articulate it in a way that you can understand it and apply it to your life. I love doing that. I didn't choose this. I really didn't. It's definitely a gift. And one of the things that I do is I coach people in all different industries. I have 2 realtors. I have a licensed clinician who has a counseling office, a young kid who just started a detailing company. We went from 0 to concept and fruition in a matter of 5 months. I coach a solar salesperson, an ADP salesperson, an HVAC business owner who just sold his company, all across the board, right? The one thing that I find is everybody wants new results. Not good or bad, just new results, right? And it's the meaning that we give the result that leads to either pain or joy. And what I do is I get people to divorce the story that they've been telling themselves for so long as to why they have the results in their life right now. And then we create a new narrative in their mind, and I help them to, the thing that I love that I do is everybody tells you what to think. very few people teach you how to think. And in a world where AI is going to revolutionize the way that we interact, the ability to think, which is the highest function of a human being, is going to be a lost art. And what I mean by that is intuition, will, memory, reason, right? Imagination. These are all mental faculties that we lose, or we're never taught how to develop them. And I have developed my intellectual faculties almost to a point of mastery, where I can create whatever it is the fuck that I want. And in my clients, we just create whatever it is that they want. And it's awesome. All we do is create. This microphone, this chair, those shoes, these laces, that phone, everything that you see in the physical world was first created here. That's what I do.
Well said. And I'll sum it up because I know we're tight on time and we went over our original goal. I don't need to go into obviously I'm the host, I'm the founder, Live the Fuel, author. I speak when I have time. I travel a lot on business. I do a lot of sales consulting. I've done a lot of branding work. Obviously podcasting is my personal passion. It's been going since 2016. Doing this meta mindset for me, if I had to sum this evening up, and really since the last one too, this is it. This is it. It's like, dude, everything we talk about tonight, trying to understand the next generation, the past generation, how are we sending the knowledge on, how are we going to fix the infrastructure, etc. Everybody had powerful words to share. But if we don't take the time to capture it, lock it down, and turn it into evergreen content, then what the hell are we doing? I mean, Wes called me out earlier, not in a call-out way, but he's like, dude, we should have had these mics going earlier. And I agree. And every time I do a new event, whether it's here or whether it's something in the business world or whatever, what can I do to continuously improve? What can I change next time? How do I tighten it? How do I tighten things up? Maybe we fire up the mics earlier. But the point is, we at least took the time to just sit down quick, fire up the mics, capture this content, and then I get to deal with all the stuff behind the scenes, but then we put it out there. And whether one person listens to it or 5,000 to 200,000 listen to it or watch it on the video, somebody's going to get something good out of this. Somebody's going to hear either Wes's words or Steven's words or Dale's words or whatever, or Ed's words. They're going to be inspired by this. They're going to take some constructive criticism and figure out what to do next. Keep creating something new, whatever it may be. That's one of my things I like to do, is like, let's lock it down. Let's capture it. Let's get it out there. Even if I get through to one person or we get through to a lot of people, that excites me. Because why the hell is we on this planet? I could die tomorrow skydiving, but at least I've got content out there that is hopefully changing the world in some way, using the digital space in a positive way. Because there's plenty of people, you said, there's always a couple evil people out there. There's people out here not using this technology in a positive way. So if that means I gotta take my barn, turn it into a man zone, smoke my meat, shot a stanchion, and then feed some men and fire up some microphones quick, let's do it.
We're gonna solve the world's problems, one man of mindset night at a time.
And maybe it is, but that's just it. There's a lot of other people doing amazing things in this world.
No doubt.
But that was the whole point of me putting this thing together. I just wanted to get together men that I know and get them to meet other men that I know, and we'll see where it goes. But let's at least document or capture some level of content that can be passed on. And that was my whole goal. That's all I cared about. So if I had to sum up what's going on in my life and my industry, there you go. I just want to keep doing this, and this is fun. So
See,
that's it.
yeah.
All right, guys. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that was Meta Mindset. We need to shut this thing down because we were here all night and we ate a lot of meat. So go back and check out the first Meta Mindset. We aired that as the very first episode in 2024. This will be airing soon as well. And remember, we're here to fuel your health, your business, and your lifestyle. You too can live the fuel, and we'll talk to you guys again soon.
Nice outro.
All right, party people, I gotta run like the wind.
I'm right behind you, brother.